Have you ever wished you could navigate life with an unshakable calm, no matter the chaos around you? Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to have such profound control over yourself that no provocation could disturb your peace, no setback could shatter your resolve, and no worry could steal your tranquility. Imagine feeling truly in command, powerful, and free on the inside. But in reality, most of us feel trapped by automatic reactions. We are hijacked by our emotions. We say things we regret, and we drown in a sea of anxiety about the future. This not only sabotages our relationships and our goals, but it also leaves us with a constant feeling of powerlessness, as if we were victims of circumstance and not the masters of our own lives. But what if I told you there's an ancient philosophy that can change this game? A wisdom forged in the fire of adversity that a man named Epictetus used to become one of the freest thinkers in history, despite being literally a slave. He discovered that true freedom isn't about controlling the outer world, but about mastering the inner world. In this video, I'm going to guide you through the 4 essential pillars to build this inner fortress. The mastery of your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind. By the end, you won't just know how to stop reacting impulsively, but you'll feel empowered, in control, and finally, the sovereign of your own inner universe. If you're ready to stop being a victim of your circumstances and start forging your own inner freedom, smash that like button. Comment below which of the 4 M's enslaves you the most: mouth, mood, money, or mind. And make sure you're subscribed, because our journey to self-mastery is just beginning. Affirm your commitment in the comments. I am in command. Number 1. Master your mouth, the gateway to wisdom. There is a profound and ancient wisdom that says the tongue is a small thing, but it can do enormous damage. We have all felt the sting of a careless word, and we have all felt the regret of speaking one. But the true power of your mouth, its ultimate potential, is not merely in the harm it can avoid, but in the reality it can actively create. Every word you speak is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. It is an instruction to your own subconscious. It is the chisel that sculpts your character and shapes your relationships. Your words are not just descriptions of your world. They are incantations that summon it into being. Consider Seneca, another titan of Stoic thought. He was a playwright, a powerful political advisor to Emperor Nero, and one of the wealthiest men in Rome. He lived in a world where words were literally a matter of life and death. In the charged atmosphere of the Roman Senate, a single misspoken phrase, a poorly timed jest, or a perceived insult could lead to political ruin, exile, or a direct order to take one's own life. The stakes could not have been higher. Now, contrast that with our world. We engage in furious, emotionally charged arguments on social media with total strangers over trivialities, as if our very lives depended on it. We speak carelessly to our loved ones, the people who matter most, in ways we would never dare speak to a powerful superior. We have forgotten the weight, the sheer creative and destructive force of our speech. Seneca's deepest insight was this: every time you speak, you are casting a vote for the person you wish to become. Every complaint strengthens the identity of a victim. Every gossiping word solidifies the character of someone who is small and untrustworthy. Every word of blame abdicates your power and responsibility. Conversely, every word of encouragement, of accountability, of thoughtful analysis builds the character of a leader, a creator, and a person of integrity. Let's bring this into your world with 2 common scenarios. Scenario A, the workplace. Imagine you've just finished a presentation. During the Q&A, a colleague publicly points out a flaw in your data. The impulsive, uncontrolled response is immediate. Your heart rate spikes, your face flushes. The words that leap to your lips are defensive. Well, you're misunderstanding the point, or aggressive. If you'd let me finish, I was getting to that. You react to protect your ego, and in doing so, you appear weak, insecure, and unreceptive to feedback. You may win the moment, but you damage your reputation. Now, the Stoic response. The criticism comes. Instead of reacting, you initiate the pause. You take a deliberate, silent breath. In that 1 second gap, you kill the emotional impulse. You then respond with controlled words aimed at finding the truth, not at protecting your ego. That's an interesting point. Thank you for raising it. Could you elaborate on which part of the data concerns you? I want to make sure we have the most accurate information. In this response, you project confidence, humility, and strength. You transform a potential conflict into a collaborative search for truth. You have mastered your mouth, and in doing so, you have mastered the situation. Scenario B. At home. You're having a disagreement with your partner about something small. Household chores, being a few minutes late. The uncontrolled mouth immediately escalates. It brings up past grievances. You always do this. It uses words of blame. This is your fault. It makes a specific issue about a general character flaw. The original minor problem is now buried under an avalanche of hurtful, unproductive words. The Stoic response is to hold the frame on the actual issue, again, the pause. Then apply the 3-filter test that the Stoics championed. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this true? Is it absolutely true they always do this? Or is that an exaggeration born of frustration? Is this helpful? Will bringing up a mistake from 6 months ago help solve the problem of the overflowing recycling bin right now? Is this kind? Is there a way to express my frustration that doesn't attack the character of the person I love? This filter forces you to speak with precision and purpose. Instead of, you always leave a mess, it becomes, I feel overwhelmed when the kitchen is messy. Can we make a plan to tackle it together? One set of words creates a battle, the other invites a partnership. Mastering your mouth is more than just restraint. It is a proactive, creative force. It is the courage to offer a sincere apology. It is the vulnerability to ask for help when you need it. It is the integrity to speak your values clearly and calmly, even when your voice shakes. Here is your practice for the next 7 days. We will expand the 3 breaths exercise into a profound mini-meditation. Before you speak in any situation where you feel a charge of emotion, positive or negative, I want you to take 3 slow, deliberate, conscious breaths. On the first breath, turn your attention inward. Ask, what is the raw sensation I am feeling right now? Don't label it anger or joy just yet, just feel it. Is it a tightness in your chest, a heat in your face, a lightness in your stomach? Simply observe the physical data without judgment. This detaches you from the raw impulse. On the second breath, turn your attention outward. Cultivate genuine curiosity and empathy. Ask, what might be the world of the other person right now? What are their fears, their hopes, their pressures? This act of intentional empathy dissolves the self-centered nature of a purely emotional reaction. On the third breath, align yourself with your highest self. Ask, what would the wisest, strongest, kindest version of me say and do right now? This connects you to your values, not your impulses. After these 3 breaths, speak or choose the profound power of silence. When you practice this, you will find a new kind of magic. People will begin to lean in when you speak. Your words will carry more weight because they are no longer cheapened by impulsive reactions. And most importantly, you will build a deep and abiding trust in yourself, knowing that whatever situation arises, you can rely on yourself to respond with wisdom and grace. Comment below to lock in this lesson. I speak with power, not by impulse. Number 2, master your mood, the internal weather system. Imagine your mind is a vast open sky. Some days it's clear and sunny, filled with warmth and light. On other days, dark clouds gather, bringing storms of anger. chilling fogs of sadness or bolts of anxiety. For most of us, this internal weather system seems utterly beyond our control. We are passive observers, tossed about by whatever emotional storm happens to blow through. We say things like, "My boss made me so angry," or "This traffic is ruining my day." We speak as if our emotional state is something that is done to us. This is the great illusion of a disempowered life. The most radical and liberating discovery of the Stoics, a discovery now, validated by decades of modern cognitive psychology, is this: you are not the victim of your emotions. You are the co-creator of them. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the unimaginable horrors of Nazi concentration camps, articulated this Stoic principle with haunting clarity. He observed that between the stimulus of his horrific circumstances and his response, there was a tiny, sacred space, a moment of choice. He wrote, "In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Even when everything was taken from him, his family, his home, his dignity, no one could take away his power to choose his inner response. That space exists inside you in every moment of every day. It's the gap between the email arriving and your feeling of anxiety. It's the pause between your child's defiant no and your feeling of anger. It's the breath between seeing a friend's success on social media and the pang of envy. The mastery of your mood lies in your ability to inhabit and widen that space. Let's be clear, this is not about becoming an emotionless robot. This is the most common and dangerous misinterpretation of Stoicism. It is not about suppression, pushing emotions down until they inevitably explode in unhealthy ways. It is about transformation. It's the difference between being a flimsy raft tossed on the waves of an angry sea and being a lighthouse, standing firm, observing the storm and casting a steady light. The lighthouse doesn't deny the existence of the storm. It simply refuses to be destroyed by it. Stoicism invites us to feel our emotions fully, but to treat them as messengers, not as dictators. When anger arrives, the Stoic doesn't say, "I am angry." They say, "I'm noticing a sensation of anger within me." This subtle shift in language creates a critical separation. It allows you to step back and ask the messenger, "What information are you bringing me? What boundary has been crossed? What value has been threatened?" Then you, the calm master of the house, can decide on a wise course of action rather than letting the wild messenger burn the house down. This core idea is the very foundation of one of the most effective modern therapies, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. CBT is built on the Stoic principle that it is not events themselves that cause our suffering, but our beliefs and judgments about those events. Consider the life of Marcus Aurelius. He was the most powerful man in the world, the Emperor of Rome. Yet when we read his private journal, the Meditations, we don't find a man reveling in luxury. We find a man on the brutal, frozen frontier of Germania, commanding armies in a seemingly endless war. We find a man grappling with the Antonine Plague, a pandemic that wiped out millions of his people. We find a man dealing with the betrayal of his most trusted general, Avidius Cassius, who declared himself emperor. We find a grieving father who buried at least 8 of his children. This is the context for his famous words, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This was not an academic platitude. It was a desperate daily survival strategy. Every morning, he would prepare himself by saying, "Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness." He wasn't being pessimistic. He was preloading a rational response. He was deciding in advance that he would not allow the poor behavior of others to corrupt his own character. He was choosing his inner weather before he even stepped out into the world's storms. Here is your practice. We will expand the evening reflection into a structured daily journaling exercise that will retrain your emotional responses over time. Each evening before sleep, open a notebook and answer these 5 questions. When did I feel a strong, disruptive emotion today? Be specific. The anger when my son spilled his juice. The anxiety before the meeting. The envy seeing that vacation photo. What was the objective, neutral trigger? Describe the event like a camera would see it. Not my son was being careless, but a glass of juice tipped over on the table. What was my initial judgment or the story I told myself about this trigger? E.g., he never listens. This is going to be a disaster. Their life is so much better than mine. Is this story 100% true? And is it helpful? What is a more rational, compassionate or useful interpretation? E.g., he's a child and accidents happen. I am prepared for this meeting and I can handle any outcome. I am seeing a curated highlight, not their full reality. How will I aim to respond if a similar situation arises tomorrow? Visualize a more controlled, wise response. Rehearse it in your mind. Performing this exercise for just 5 minutes a day is like lifting weights for your emotional resilience. At first it's difficult, but over time you build strength. You begin to catch the judgments in real time. You widen that sacred space between stimulus and response. You stop being the victim of your moods and become the calm, steady meteorologist of your own mind, able to predict, prepare for, and navigate any weather. Comment below to lock in this lesson. I control my emotions, they don't control me. Number 3, master your money, the tool of freedom. Of all the areas of our lives, money is perhaps the one that reveals our inner state. With the most unflinching honesty, it is a mirror. It shows our fears, our aspirations, our impulsiveness, and our discipline. It's not just paper and numbers. It is crystallized time, energy, and freedom. And how you manage it determines whether it is your most powerful tool for a life of purpose or the bars of a cage you have built for yourself. The Stoic view on money is one of the most misunderstood. They were not ascetics who believed poverty was virtuous. In fact, Seneca, as we've noted, was fabulously wealthy. This apparent contradiction is actually the key to their philosophy. The Stoics categorized money and wealth as a preferred indifferent. What does this mean? Indifferent means it has no bearing on your virtue or character. A rich person can be a monster and a poor person can be a sage. Your net worth does not define your self-worth. Preferred simply means that, all things being equal, it's better to have resources than not to have them. Money can provide for your family, alleviate suffering, and enable you to contribute to society. The danger, the Stoics warned, is when this preferred indifferent becomes your master. The moment your happiness, your sense of security, or your self-esteem becomes dependent on your bank balance, you have become a slave. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." He understood that the hunger for more is a black hole that can never be filled. To guard against this, despite his immense wealth, Seneca regularly practiced what he called rehearsals of poverty. For several days at a time, he would eat the plainest food, wear his oldest clothes, and sleep on a hard floor. He did this not to punish himself, but to train himself. He was constantly asking his mind and body, "Is this what you were so afraid of?" He was proving to himself on a visceral level that his tranquility and happiness were generated from within and could not be taken away by a change in fortune. He was the master of his money because he was not afraid to lose it. Now let's look at our modern lives. The brutal truth is this: if you cannot control your spending, you cannot control your life. Every impulsive purchase, every swipe of the credit card for a fleeting dopamine hit is a vote for a future with fewer options. It's a trade of future freedom for present gratification. Financial servitude dictates the job you can't quit, the toxic boss you must endure, the creative calling. You can't pursue the health crisis you can't afford. The key to money mastery is not about deprivation, it is about alignment. It is the conscious, deliberate act of directing your financial resources toward the life you truly want to live. This requires you to first define your values. What truly matters to you? Is it family, health, learning, adventure, community? Write them down. Now, look at your bank statement. Is it the budget of the person who holds those values, or is it the budget of a stranger, someone driven by boredom, envy, and clever marketing? When you buy a coffee or a meal to connect with a dear friend, you are likely using money in alignment with a value of community. You are using money. When you buy a new gadget you don't need after seeing an online ad because you're bored, you are letting your impulses dictate your resources. Money is using you. Here is your practice to revolutionize your relationship with money. We will expand the purchase and feeling journal into a tool for profound self-discovery. For the next 30 days, track every single non-essential purchase. Create a journal with these 6 columns. Item, service. What did you buy? Cost. How much did it cost? The trigger story. What happened right before you made the purchase? What was the story you told yourself to justify it? E.g., I had a hard day, I deserve this. This will finally make me feel organized. Everyone else has one. Feeling 1 hour later. Be honest. Was it excitement, relief, or maybe a subtle feeling of guilt? Feeling 1 week later. This is the most crucial column. Is the item bringing you lasting value and joy, or is it forgotten, unused? Is the initial thrill gone, leaving only the credit card bill? Value aligned? YN. Look at your list of core values. Does this purchase directly support one of them? Let me walk you through an example. Item, a trendy, expensive jacket. Cost, $300. Trigger, your story. Saw an influencer wearing it on Instagram. Story. If I have this jacket, I'll feel more confident and stylish. Feeling 1 hour later, a thrill of excitement, imagining wearing it. Feeling 1 week later, wore it once, felt self-conscious. Now it's just hanging in the closet, a source of quiet regret. Value aligned. My values are financial security and authenticity. This purchase actively worked against both. No. After 30 days of this practice, you will have a brutally honest map of your own financial psychology. You will see your patterns, your triggers, and the gap between the life you say you want and the life your spending habits are actually creating. This awareness is the first and most critical step toward mastery. You will naturally begin to shift your spending away from the empty calories of impulsive buys and toward the deep nourishment of value-aligned living. This is true financial freedom. It's not about being rich, it's about being in control. It's about having enough so that you can be generous, so that you can weather storms, and so that the major decisions in your life can be based on your principles, not your payments. Comment below to lock in this lesson. I am the master of my money, not its slave. Number 4, master your mind, the command center. We have arrived at the final pillar, the one upon which all others are built. Your mouth speaks what is in your mind. Your mood is the child of your mind's judgments. Your money flows where your mind directs it. To master your mind is therefore the ultimate leverage point for mastering your life. It is the command center, the inner citadel, the kingdom over which you and you alone are the rightful sovereign. Your mind, in its natural, untrained state, is not a peaceful place. It's often described as a monkey mind, swinging wildly from branch to branch, from a past regret to a future anxiety, from a petty judgment to a distracting fantasy, never staying still. Or think of it as a wild horse, powerful, full of energy, but useless or even dangerous until it is gently and patiently tamed by a skilled rider. For most of our lives, we are not the rider. We are being dragged behind the horse, pulled violently in whatever direction its whims and fears take it. We believe that we are our thoughts. We identify with the chaos. The great Stoic liberation is the realization that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. You are the one who has the power to notice them, to question them, and to choose which ones to engage with. This ancient practice is now being confirmed by modern neuroscience. The concept of neuroplasticity teaches us that our brain is not a fixed, static organ. It is constantly being rewired by our experiences and, most importantly, by our focus of attention. Every time you allow your mind to spin in a loop of worry, you are physically strengthening that neural pathway, making it easier for your brain to worry in the future. You are paving a superhighway for anxiety. Conversely, every time you consciously interrupt a negative thought pattern and redirect your focus towards something productive or rational, you are building a new neural pathway. You are weakening the old habit and strengthening a new one. The Stoic practices are not just philosophical ideas. They are a form of active, self-directed neuroplasticity. You are literally rewiring your brain for resilience, focus, and peace. The foundational principle for this practice comes from Epictetus and his great dichotomy of control. He taught that the source of all human misery comes from a simple, tragic confusion, trying to control what we cannot while neglecting to control what we can. What can we control? Only our own inner world, our judgments, our intentions, our will, how we choose to respond. That's it. What can't we control? Everything else, the weather, the economy, traffic, illness, aging, and most crucially, what other people think, say, or do. Your entire life can be a frantic, exhausting, and ultimately futile battle against things you cannot control. Or it can be a calm, powerful, and focused cultivation of the one thing you can, your own mind. Think of the mental energy you spend every day worrying about what your boss thinks of you, replaying an awkward conversation, or fearing a future that hasn't happened. This is like trying to command the tides. It's wasted energy. The Stoic redirects all of that precious energy inward to the garden of their own mind, vigilantly pulling the weeds of irrational thought and planting the seeds of productive ones. Here is your practice. We will expand the simple act of questioning your thoughts into a structured exercise called the thought court. When you are plagued by a persistent, painful, negative thought, you will put it on trial. Identify the accused. Write down the automatic negative thought clearly and precisely. E.g., I'm a total failure because I was passed over for that promotion. The prosecution's case. Act as the prosecutor. Write down all the pieces of evidence, big or small, that seem to support this accusation. Be ruthless. E.g., my colleague got the job, not me. My boss mentioned I need to be more proactive in meetings. I made a mistake on that report last month. The defense's case. Now switch roles. You are the defense attorney for your own well-being. Your job is to challenge the prosecution's narrative, cross-examine the evidence. Is there another way to interpret it? My colleague has more experience in that specific area. It's not a reflection of my total worth. My boss's feedback was constructive, not a condemnation. The report mistake was a learning experience, and I've since put new checks in place. Introduce new evidence. What does the prosecution ignore? I successfully led the last project. I received a positive performance review 3 months ago. Several team members regularly come to me for advice. The judge's verdict. Finally, you are the impartial judge. Reviewing the evidence from both sides, what is a more balanced, rational, and compassionate conclusion? E.g., while it is disappointing not to get the promotion, the evidence shows I am a competent and valued employee. This is not a verdict on my total worth, but an outcome based on a specific set of circumstances. It is an opportunity to identify areas for growth, not a reason to declare myself a failure. By externalizing your thoughts in this way, you strip them of their power. You see them for what they are, not objective truths, but mental habits. You move from being the prisoner in the dock to being the wise and just judge. This is the heart of mind mastery. Comment below to lock in this lesson. I am the architect of my mind. Here is the most beautiful and profound truth of this entire process. These four pillars, the mouth, the mood, the money, and the mind, are not separate. They are deeply interconnected, woven together like a tapestry. When you strengthen one, you strengthen them all. This creates a powerful positive feedback loop, what psychologists call an upward spiral, that can fundamentally transform the entire experience of your life. Think of it like tuning an instrument. If one string is out of tune, the whole instrument sounds discordant. But when you tune that one string, it brings the others into greater harmony. When you successfully master your mouth in a heated moment, you send a powerful message to your own brain. I am in control. This victory gives you the confidence and the neurological reinforcement to better regulate your mood. When you master your mood and stop letting temporary feelings of boredom or sadness drive your actions, you find it infinitely easier to master your money and curb emotional spending. When you master your money and free yourself from the constant low-grade stress of debt and financial insecurity, you free up immense mental bandwidth. This newfound peace and clarity allows you to master your mind, to think more clearly and creatively. And when you master your mind, learning to direct your thoughts with intention, you find that the right words, the right emotional responses, and the right financial decisions follow almost automatically. Each small victory builds on the last, creating a compounding effect of self-trust, integrity, and personal power. Perhaps the most profound ripple effect is how this entire practice changes your relationship with difficulty itself. The obstacles in your life cease to be things you dread and avoid. They become your gymnasium, your training ground, the very opportunities you need to practice your mastery. A difficult conversation is no longer a threat. It's a chance to practice mouth control. A stressful project is no longer a burden. It's an opportunity for mood mastery. An unexpected expense is no longer a crisis. It's practice for money wisdom. A wave of worry is no longer a weakness. It's a chance to redirect your mental energy. This shift in perspective from victim to practitioner is the final key to an unconquerable life. We began this journey with Epictetus, the slave who, through the mastery of his inner world, became one of the freest and most influential men in history. He proved that the chains of circumstance are no match for a disciplined mind. Today, you have been given the same keys he forged. You now understand that true freedom is not a matter of your external conditions, but of your internal choices. You have learned that your mouth, mood, money, and mind are the four pillars that can either imprison you in a life of reaction and chaos or support you in building a life of intention and peace. But as you leave here today, remember this above all else. This is not about achieving a flawless, perfect state of being. It is about intention. It's about the small daily commitment to becoming a little bit better, a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser than the person you were yesterday. Every time you pause before speaking, every time you choose your response to a challenging emotion, every time you align your spending with your values, every time you redirect a negative thought, you are casting a vote. You are strengthening your sovereignty. You are taking one more step on the path from slavery to freedom. 6 months from now, you will be 6 months older. That is a certainty. The question is, will you be the same person, battling the same struggles? Or will you be someone who has begun to navigate life with wisdom, with intention, and with a quiet, unshakable inner strength? The choice, as it has always been, is entirely yours, and the time to make it is right now. If this message strengthened you, smash the like button. Share this with someone who needs to stop being a victim and start being a warrior. Subscribe to join this army of unshakable minds, and leave your final declaration of mastery in the comments. Today, I choose mastery over mediocrity, intention over reaction, and freedom over slavery.